there's this false premise that's still, I believe, very common right now, is that children are blank slates and children don't see color. It's not true. They do see color.
Welcome to Raising Questions, conversations about parenting in the digital age. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Dee, and we're founders of Meevee, a new kids media platform that aims for less and better screen time.
And I'm Koen, and to help ensure Meevee is based on the most recent insights, I talk with experts working across children's media to learn from their experiences.
And who did you speak to this week, Koen?
I spoke with AnneMarie McClain. She's assistant professor of media science at Boston University, and she is specialized in children's media and with a specific focus on diversity and representation.
And what would you say a big takeaway was?
Well, she has done a lot of research on the media preferences of Black parents in the US. And one of the things she found is that under certain conditions, Black parents would like to show their kids content that shows racism, even to preschoolers, because it gives parents a tool that they can use to discuss such complex things with their kids.
Super interesting. Let's have a listen.
Thanks a lot for taking the time. I know you have done extensive research on the preferences of Black parents for children's media, and I was wondering why did you decide to focus on that topic?
I am mixed race Black. So my dad is Black, my mom is white. And growing up, I couldn't really find a lot of representation that made me feel good about myself. And so it really sparked an interest in me in a really young age to care about media representation. And then I was an elementary school teacher in Brooklyn, New York, where I worked predominantly with Black and brown children, predominantly from lower income families. And I really, really became even more interested in the potential of using media to help them see themselves, to use media really as this socializer, but for good, right? So the pro-social aspects, the ways that we can help kids to feel seen and feel heard and feel good about themselves. I applied to the Harvard Graduate School of Education to be able to learn more about child development, to learn more about marginalized children, their different circumstances, and to start thinking about media. And then in my first semester at Harvard, I realized that organizations such as Sesame Workshop, such as PBS Kids, such as GBH Kids, they have been working for decades to create content that is intentionally designed to help kids. And so I realized that that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't know yet at that point if I wanted to do it from the research side or from the practice side.
Your PhD focused on the preferences of Black parents related to the media that their kids consume. Mm-hmm. What did you find?
This study was conducted in the summer of 2020, so right after the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd. And I knew that in that moment that Black parents might be looking for a way to have their voices amplified about the representation that they might want and need to see. And so in that study, what I found is that parents really wanted diverse content. So they wanted content that was positive, that was affirming, and they wanted content that included depictions of racism, even for preschoolers.
Can you describe what that would look like? Content for young kids depicting racism?
Yeah, so I want to be very cautious here that that much more research is needed. But some general trends, right, that we've seen from the work that I've done has been that parents want contemporary racism as opposed to historical. I think that speaks to this this element, right, that Black children and Black adults are still experiencing racism today, and that needs to be addressed and talked about, and that media can be a tool for that to happen. And then another element that was in there is that parents did not want the racism to just be unresolved. So they were not interested in just showing the racism and then not having it resolved. So that might mean that it has to be talked about. It might mean that it has to be affirmed as wrong.
Do you have any idea to what extent this type of content is available on YouTube Kids. For example, if you would go there and you would type in preschooler dealing with racism, would you get good content?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I haven't run that search. I'm not aware of any literature in the academic sense that has done that kind of content analysis. I would say, in terms of advice for parents, if this is helpful, or advice for educators, putting that in a search is something that I would do individually, separately, away from my child, because or away from students, because there's a very good chance, I would bet, that there could be some really problematic content that comes up there. So we would want to view it first, scan it first, and it's totally possible that that there could be some great content out there about this. And I believe a lot of the content I'm thinking about is also accessible on YouTube as well. But it's something that has to have adult eyes on first, because a lot of content can be extremely harmful.
One of the things that often comes back when I talk to people about kids media is that autoplay is a bit of a tricky feature of these platforms, because you don't really, you have no possibilities to control what's being offered afterwards, after one video.
Yeah, and I think it's really it's a really, I just want to underscore how difficult it is for parents, educators, and for kids, right, to navigate these spaces. And I will also say that it's something that I've seen in my work, and something that I've seen as myself as a parent, and as an educator, is that there are absolutely ways to equip kids and to equip the adults in their lives with the skills to deal with media that are problematic, that are stereotyped, and that are harmful.
How do you deal with your own kid or kids?
So we do a lot of that. So we've done that for their whole lives. There was a show that my child really, really was super into, and I know we're talking about race here, but this show had such high gender stereotyped roles. And I remember saying to my child, I don't want you to watch this, and here's why. And my child was like, well, I still really want to watch this, and it makes me feel good about myself, and all of these things. And I was like, okay. And at that point I thought, okay, well, maybe I will still let you watch this, but here are all the things that you need to know about it. And we're going to talk about it after. And like, here are all the things that I'm seeing as problematic stereotypes and problematic issues that I want you to know, so that you can unpack this, and so you're not internalizing these things. And I think that strategy can be applied. It can be applied anywhere.
Having that conversation about what you think is problematic is probably more helpful than just prohibiting your kid from watching that show. Having that conversation is probably the moment where she or he learns something.
Yeah, exactly. And you might be familiar with some of this research already, but there's new research coming out that shows that restrictive, what's in academia, it's called restrictive mediation, where parents are saying, like, you can't watch this, or you can't access this platform, which is done all the time. And I do it sometimes too. But over time, it doesn't work very well, because kids will find a way to consume the content. You might block it in your house, but what if they go to a friend's house and then they're seeing it there? Yeah.
So, if you would sit down with the executives of a major streaming platform like YouTube Kids, what would you advise them to do?
I would first advise them to make an advisory board of parents, of diverse parents, and of diverse kids of varying ages, to advise them in how to design their platform, their algorithm, and the content that is prioritized by the algorithms, and maybe, funding for particular content that's deemed as high quality. And part of that advisory content would be to help understand what is resonating with people. What do they want to see more of? What do they want to see less of? Because with academic research, right, we do these great studies, we do these really rigorous studies, but then it takes like a year or two to get published. And so I really want I want these companies to have more direct access to the voices of the people who they need to be responding to, and who, child well-being, who we all need to be caring about kids. They're growing up in a really challenging time. It's hard to be a kid right now, and it's extra hard when you have when you have a marginalized identity, or when someone you love has a marginalized identity. So that would be where I would start.
Are there also implications for content creators or the big
Mhm.
studios who are creating the popular kids content?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say definitely hire from the communities that your characters are expected to represent. So if you want to have a Black character, let's have a Black content creator behind the scenes, right? Writing, calling the shots, show running, etc., being the executive producer. That's really, really important to make sure that we're depicting authentic experiences. There is so much research about how children will get confused. They will come up with their own incorrect assumptions about people unless we talk about differences with them. So there's this false premise that's still, I believe, very common right now, is that children are blank slates and children don't see color. It's not true. They do see color. They do see differences. And if we don't explicitly teach them what these differences are, or what these differences can mean, or about different cultures, or why there are systemic differences sometimes between neighborhoods, right? Why is there segregation? Is it because one group is bad and one group is good? No. What are the background reasons? And people might think, oh, kids can't understand that. They can understand that, and they do understand that if you teach them. But if you don't teach them that, they might think, oh, this community is segregated over here, or lives in these particular kinds of houses because one is good and one is bad, and that's false. And we need to teach them that explicitly. And so really emphasizing that in media is a really powerful way to do that.
Um, I really enjoyed talking to you,
Thank you so
Anne-Marie.
much. Yeah, you too.
Thank you for your time,
Thank you for inviting me.
and good luck with the future research.
Thank you.
If you want to hear conversations with other experts, check out the blog on our website. That's meevee.com.
And on our website, you can also find out more information about Meevee. We're a new media platform for young kids with curated content and a design that helps your kids smoothly transition off screen.
If you want to try out the app, just download it on your phone or tablet. If you have any feedback, we're always happy to hear it, so feel free to reach out. And thank you. Have a nice day.